Let's get to Manchester United. They were held by basement boys Wolves yesterday. 1-1, that game finished.
Oh, I'm going to watch this again when I get home tonight.
Stats. Look at you, you sicko. Wolves had more touches in the opposition box and a higher XG than Manchester United. That draw also ended Wolves' 11-game losing run in the Premier League, 12-game in all competitions. Don is still with us, but let's welcome in Rob Dawson, because you saw those 11 teams that were able to beat them before Manchester United, Rob, but Manchester United weren't able to do the job against Wolves.
No, and this is the type of performance that United have been throwing in for the best part of a year under Ruben Amorim. You know, the United fans who turned up at Old Trafford yesterday would have had every right to go there thinking that it was going to be quite a comfortable win, but they know better than that now. And you hear the United fans streaming into Old Trafford last night, and they were worried before kickoff because they know what this team is capable of. You know, you're talking about Wolves, who could be statistically the worst ever Premier League side, and the United fans who turned up just weren't confident that they were going to win, and they were proved right. And you weren't talking about a smash and grab either from Wolves. I mean, you just had the stats up there. Wolves more than held their own. They probably could have taken more from the game. There was, incidents towards the end of the game where the Wolves players, obviously they're on the back of quite a long losing run, were torn about what to do with the ball when they got into United's final third. Did they want to save the ball and play for a draw, or were they trying to win? So it's just another dreadful performance for Man United, another dreadful result, and there's more pressure now on Ruben Amorim.
What's the fallout today then, Rob, in Manchester?
Well, he's just, the manager's under more pressure and has been really ever since he came in. The Wolves result isn't an isolated incident. The home form recently has been appalling. They've taken 3 points from home games against Everton, West Ham, Bournemouth and Wolves. That's simply just not good enough. That United fans again are questioning Amorim's system. He went to a back four against Newcastle. They won that game and kept a clean sheet. Amorim had fewer players against Wolves because Mason Mount was injured, but decided to revert to his 3-4-3 formation, which has irked Man United fans ever since he arrived. There are more calls from United fans this morning that he should go and that he's just simply not the right man. There were boos at half-time and at full-time during the Wolves game. Some of his substitutions were booed. He really needs to win when United turn up against Leeds on Sunday, because if he doesn't, the pressure's going to increase even further. Oh
yeah, nothing like that coming up against Leeds, Manchester United, when the pressure really is on.
I know. I can't figure this out whether, to watch Manchester United players be so lacking in desire and character, and there was just a lack of fire in their belly. Now, is that because the manager is so uninspiring during the week in training, and he's talking and his team talks before the game, that he sends his team out and they're not mentally in the right position? Because it's hard to get your head around which way it is. As a player, you would think that all these Man United players are playing for the spot, because they must know that the manager can't last forever the way the results are going. And so when somebody else comes in, they want to be able to keep putting that jersey on. But it doesn't look like that when you watch them play. So is it all coming from the manager? Is he just so uninspiring that nobody's bothered? That's what it feels and looks like.
What does it feel and look like to you, Don?
All of the above. I think Stevie and Robert probably nailed it. I mean, you go back to, it might be in the Grimsby game or games after, when he's watching his team take penalties and he can't look. He's got his head buried in his arms, and he doesn't give off good signals. He doesn't give off confidence signals that he trusts his players. All of the quotes that he said over the last year, said a quote a couple of days ago when he said, "I've made 75% of my decisions were wrong." He's come out recently and said that even the Pope wouldn't make me change my system, and then he did. And it's like, I can't read him. I think there's a lot of honesty coming from him, but sometimes there's a lot of waffle at the same time. And I think the conclusion that I've come to, and I say this with all due respect, because I always respect, football players in general, but I think I'm looking at a Man United team now that's just very average. Apart from one or two, I'm looking at a team now, doesn't matter what system you play. I know they had a good half against Newcastle. Newcastle were terrible, but Newcastle battered them in the second half, and the system change sort of did work. But I'm looking at a lot of individuals that play for Man United, and I'm thinking, they look very average.
And when it comes to the manager, Rob, we do hear some interesting comments coming out of his mouth. Were there any special ones after this performance?
No, not particularly. And Don's right. I mean, he can be quite hard to read sometimes, Ruben Amorim. Sometimes after these kind of results, he'll come into news conferences and he'll be absolutely furious. He was after the West Ham game. They were leading that game, then conceded late on and drew 1-1. And he came in and he was absolutely foaming from the minute he sat down. Yesterday, we were kind of expecting him to be similar to that, but he was sort of dancing around the touchline for the entire 90 minutes, screaming at his players. He looked very frustrated all the way through, but then he came in and was relatively calm. He sort of said, well, I'm not going to make excuses because we're missing a lot of players, but just so you know, we are missing a lot of players, as if we didn't already know that. He explained his system a little bit. He obviously knew that the fans would want answers for that. He said that he went back to a back three because he knew that Wolves were going to play in a 5 and was worried about Wolves and how much width they would have. He explained his substitution of Joshua Zirkzee at half-time. Zirkzee had scored the goal in the first half and then was brought off at half-time. He said that he had to bring him off. It was a tactical change because they just weren't coping well enough with Wolves midfield. So he was relatively calm in his post-match yesterday. Whether that is the case when he comes and sees us next on Friday before that Leeds game, we'll have to wait and see. He has been very up and down ever since he arrived from Sporting Lisbon. I think that's probably part and parcel of the kind of run of form that he's overseen. He's never had any kind of consistency in terms of results. That poor lad who's waiting to get his hair cut when they win 5 games is still without a haircut, and that tells you everything. They just haven't had that level of consistency, and he's always been kind of struggling to explain his decisions and the results that have followed.
Rob, is there any chance that we will see a managerial change at Manchester United in the near future?
I don't think it'll be in the near future. I mean, as I say, that he's under immense pressure in terms of the fans, and he was booed at. Well, the team were booed at halftime and full time against Wolves. In terms of what the board are thinking, the board will probably tell you that even though the results haven't been as good as they would have expected, Amorim is still on course to meet what they designated as the target for this season. They told him that they wanted United to be back in Europe, and as poor as that result against Wolves was, they are still 6th in the table, which would get you back into Europe. They're only 2 points off 4th and Champions League qualification. So we are halfway through the league season, and United are still in position to meet that aim. The difficulty comes if form drops off a cliff, or if the players just stop having him. I think if those two things were to happen, then the board would be forced into making a change, because you can't have a dressing room who's not behind the manager, and you can't turn up at Old Trafford every week with the fans, booing loudly and calling for him to be sacked. I think what the board would like is to get through this season, get back into Europe, and then make more changes to the squad, bring in a central midfielder, strengthen the wing-back positions, and then judge him on the first 10 games of next season. Now, if he's going to get that time, he needs results. For any manager at any club, results buy you time, and at the moment, Amorim is in desperate need of some results just to buy him time to get to the end of the season and make those changes to the squad. Well,
to be honest, Toby, I mean, I agree with you. Jesus has been fantastic. Jesus has been fantastic since he's come back. He's a more rounded forward. You can play the ball into him. You can expect that he's going to take on players. He can score goals. I wouldn't say he's a prolific goal scorer. I don't think Jesus will ever score like 20 Premier League goals, but he's a fantastic player. He's one of our best attackers when he's fit, and he needs to stay fit. But I'm going to ask you, Toby, when everyone's fit, absolutely on blob, number 9, Who is playing for you? Because I look at this and I'm saying Jesus is first, Havertz. I'm putting Marino in there before I'm putting Gyökeres in there at 4th. Because I don't think that Gyökeres has enough to his game. I think when you're a striker at Arsenal Football Club, you need to be well-rounded. That's why, we was all talking about the likes of Isak coming, or for me, I was talking about Isak, Alvarez, Ekitike, coming to Arsenal to be a number 9, because they're more well-rounded players. Where I look at Gyökeres, and he is a good player, and he has had a great career, but I just don't think he suits the Arsenal style.
I agree. Yeah, I actually agree with that list. I'd even put in Trossard maybe 3rd ahead of Marino as like a 9 option. He's done it a few times for us and he looks great. But whilst he's bedding in, I do think just having those other players is really important. But Gabriel Jesus, for his 22-23 season, if he come back, I don't think there's a player other than Erling Haaland in the Premier League I would rather have. He was unbelievable, and I think that list is kind of correct. I think he is, when he is on form, that good. Unfortunately, just before the World Cup, his knee injury, let him down a little bit, and we haven't seen the same of him since. So, and he does look, dare I say it, touch wood, look like that player since he's come back, and I just hope his body can hold up.
Toby, I don't want to come across like I'm being really, really harsh on Gyökeres, but when I look at Gyökeres, he strikes me as the kind of person, his whole body language and demeanour is like, I'm just happy to be here at Arsenal. Whereas when we look at the greats that Arsenal have, the number 9s, Righty, come in there, this is my team. Then like you've got Bergkamp that came, and Nelka, you look at Henry, then Aubameyang.
A lot of them had slow starts.
All of them, Van Persie, but all of them are to levels.
Yeah.
They're like fantastic players, but they come in there with the kind of attitude like, I'm the best player. I'm going to play, I'm going to score goals. When I look at Gyökeres, he's just happy. He looks to me like he's just happy to be a part of it.
I think there's a really interesting similarity. So I remember when David Raya first joined and there was the whole Ramsdale situation, he looked like he was apologising for playing, like it wasn't his shirt. And it was kind of very similar to Gyökeres, obviously completely different positions. But the way they looked mentally just didn't look like they were part of the club. And it took about 6 months, almost one international break, and came back and he was like, no, this is my shirt, this is my team, this is who I am. And suddenly he's become world class ever since. But it did take that 6 months to bed into the team. I just wonder if Gyökeres is going through that. You're right.
But Toby, you do get assurance. I mean, I know that at one point there was Raya and Ramsdale. That's fine, but I'm pretty sure, in fact, that Raya got assurances from Arteta saying, you're my number 1. I want you to play. That's when it looked like he came back and was like, he came out there with, like that kind of presence, like, I am number 1. I am one of the best keepers in the world. Whereas for strikers, it's different. You've got to actually go and score goals regularly, especially for the bigger teams.
True.
And I feel like if Arsenal had that number 9 that was scoring the 20 Premier League, this would be easy. I would genuinely say this is easy
January's coming up. January's coming up.
Yeah, but no one's going to let a top striker go in January.
Well, money talks. Could you not buy? Is it ridiculous, Toby, to think that you could buy a striker in January?
A top one, Tom.
Well,
yeah, name some names. Name some names. Now, if Isak didn't get injured, then I would have had a pop at Ekitike, but unfortunately he's looking unbelievable.
But like even like you look at players like Martinez at Inter Milan, like to get someone like that, even that they were going to want 100 million. Like are Arsenal parting like that kind of money in January? I don't think so.
Well, if it guarantees a title and maybe even helps you in the Champions League.
Yeah, but Arsenal don't manoeuvre like that. They're not a club that's just going to say, here you go, here's 100 million.
But they also haven't won the league for a long time. So is this time for a shift?
I mean,
I think it's hard, isn't it? Ultimately, yeah, there's who's going to sign in January? What kind of price would it be? Look, hey, if an Erling Haaland or someone like that would be available, great. But the difficulty is, we had that period where we were going from like 8th to 2nd, going from 2nd to 1st to try and win the Premier League or to get that striker to take to the Champions League. That is hard to find at the best of times and very expensive. And
exactly.
I'm very, very confident that with Jesus, Havertz, and potentially Gyökeres coming through, when they are back, we look great, and there's so much else around the team that delivers to be able to help with that. And Man City, I mean, how many Premier League teams before Haaland had a central striker that were the striker? I mean, Jesus was playing for City, Firmino was playing for Liverpool. It was all coming from the wing.
But number 9s are coming back in fashion now. There was a lot of teams. Sorry, Toby. There was a lot of teams playing with false number 9s because of the way Guardiola set up his team. But like number 9s now are coming back into fashion. Like number 10s are, they're coming back. And I just feel like if Arsenal could get a number 9, do you know, like there's been games like last year, even this year, where Arsenal haven't played good. They haven't, scored from a set piece. But then you need someone to just find a scrappy goal. That's what real top number 9s do. You've seen it with Haaland. As much as Haaland does score great goals as well, he just sniffs out them scrappy goals. And I feel like they're the kind of players that you need if you want to go and win the league comfortably. Arsenal are going to do it the hard way. And they're going to do it because of their back line, not because of their front line.
I agree. And look, we don't have that play at the moment. I think we thought it was going to be Gyökeres, but when you do have that defence, you do have that squad depth, anything can happen, and it's a long season. A couple of other teams like Chelsea and City played in the Club World Cup. Like, is that going to maybe help? Maybe that will contribute to a downfall of some kind, maybe, but we've got the squad and other teams don't. But look, we'd all love that number 9, and unfortunately, I don't think Gyökeres is going to be that 30-goal season striker at the moment.
Well, at the back, you're doing well enough without having that 30-goal season striker, but at the back, you've already mentioned David Raya. Is he the best goalkeeper in the world right now?
I think he's been the best performing goalkeeper for a while. I think Alisson is still the best goalkeeper in the world for everything he's done, obviously.
What are you talking about, Toby? What are you talking about? That's reckless. What about Courtois? What about Donnarumma?
Donnarumma really heats up when it's hot. Like,
and Courtois?
End of the Champions League, he's good, but he's not been great this season. No, I'd have David Raya over Courtois, personally.
I'm objective. I think you're being a bit biased there, Toby.
I'm getting excited by his performances over the last few years. What can I say?
I'll tell you one thing I would like to say, though. I've been a bit critical of Odegaard, but last night, that was a proper performance. That assist was an unbelievable assist, and that's the kind of Odegaard I need to see. I want to see him scoring goals, getting assists like that. When I see him playing safety and within himself, I don't like that kind of attacking midfielder. The one I see last night and last week when he scored from the edge of the box, that's the kind of Odegaard that you talk about, being one of the best attacking midfielders in the world.
100%. He looks back. I don't know where he was. I think maybe he was struggling physically. He looks a bit more slender, coming back from international breaks, coming back from injury and various different things. But he just looked his old self.
Yeah.
Stacker was making the runs. He helps having like a running centre forward, I think, and some structure around him. Sometimes he can take too many touches on the ball when he's not feeling too confident. But when he's zippy and when he's bouncing around at home, he just looks something else. And again, go on.
Toby, I was going to say to you, just a question. I was just thinking now, is Arsenal's squad that good where, for example, if Saka goes through a patch where he's not playing well, you can just take him out of the team and put like Madueke in? Do you think Arsenal are that good to be doing that now?
Well, you've had no Gabriel and you were fine.
No, I'm talking about Saka in particular.
You've had no Rice, you've been fine. So actually, I think every position on the pitch, surely.
What are you thinking, Toby? Would you take Saka out if he's not performing?
I think we kind of would need to. We're very fortunate that he's not underperforming at the moment. I think he maybe could score a few more goals, but he's probably been our best player over the last few weeks. So, we've got Madueke, Nwaneri. I'd love to see out there. Downman perhaps coming back. We've got so many options, and if we can start, we have been doing that. Starting Madueke for a few Champions League games. And
do you genuinely think Arsenal have got the best squad in the world? Like I do, and that's the reason why there's no excuses this year. That's the thing. There's no excuses.
Well, I think we've got the best squad in England. I'd have to think. I think Bayern look really hot right now. I mean, we did beat them though, so
Arsenal touched Bayern. That was easy work.
Yeah, that's a good point, to be fair. So, look, I think we've got a really good squad, and it is no excuses territory in that sense. I think there are other teams that maybe have a slightly better first team, perhaps, but as a squad to go the distance in the league, I think we're the most equipped we've ever been. So,
100%.
As long as we don't keep dropping like flies at the back, hopefully we should be all right. I don't have to keep playing Declan Rice at right back.
We're asking fans for one prediction for 2026. It can be as outlandish or as safe as you want. What's yours for Arsenal, Toby?
I think we'll win a double. I think it.
Toby, I was going to say that as well. I was going to say a double.
Wait. I think it'll be a League Cup and the league.
Leandro Trossard proved to be the perfect antidote to Arsenal's attacking frustrations, following Mikel Arteta's candid remarks about Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres may have struggled to truly impress since his summer arrival at Arsenal, but over the weekend, there was finally a glimpse of what he is capable of. More importantly, Trossard showed exactly why he could be the key to unlocking the Swedish striker's full potential during Arsenal's hard-fought 2-1 victory over Wolves at the Emirates Stadium. The 31-year-old winger injected fresh energy into Mikel Arteta's side on Saturday night and helped breathe new life into the Gunners' attack. Shortly after replacing Gabriel Martinelli in the second half, Arsenal found the breakthrough. While Trossard did not directly contribute to either the opening goal or the dramatic stoppage time winner, his influence on the game was undeniable. Trossard took control of proceedings, dictating the tempo and pulling the strings down the left flank. Time and again, he dismantled Wolves' compact defensive setup, releasing Miles Lewis-Skelly into space, picking out Declan Rice on the edge of the box, and crucially, feeding Gyökeres with intelligent, well-timed passes. Operating as a creative hub, the Belgian showcased his playmaking qualities, delivering sharp, purposeful distribution. His introduction completely shifted the momentum of the match, and for the first time in weeks, Arsenal's $64 million striker briefly looked like a genuine threat. Before Trossard's arrival, Gyökeres endured a frustrating and ineffective outing in attack. In fact, the Belgian was the only player to carve out a clear-cut opportunity for the 27-year-old forward, slipping a simple yet incisive ball in behind the Wolves' backline. Gyökeres controlled the pass, beat his defender, and aimed for the far post. Wolves goalkeeper Sam Johnstone was beaten, but the Swedish striker saw his effort agonizingly drift just wide. If Arteta truly wants to get the best out of Gyökeres, then granting Trossard a more prominent role in the starting 11th could be the solution. Speaking to TNT Sports after the win, the Arsenal manager openly addressed the challenges facing his marquee signing. "It's a collaboration between the two," Arteta explained. "He was in some really good positions, but the ball didn't arrive quickly enough, accurately enough, or with the precision a number 9 needs to score." But his commitment and intention were there, and we have to keep pushing. Arteta was equally vocal in defending Gyökeres prior to the match, urging patience with the striker's adaptation to English football. "There was huge expectation because we were signing a proven goal scorer, probably with the best statistics in Europe," Arteta said. "But he's coming into a different league, the most demanding league in the world. What happens if he doesn't score in 5 or 6 games? That was the only question I asked him. How are you going to react if you don't score in 5 or 6 matches? Can you handle that? And what about the next 100 games? That's what people need to see. The sample size is still very small, so leave him alone. Let him do what he does best. Support him, and I'm convinced things will come good." That message from Arteta resonated beyond the Emirates. In the days following the Wolves' victory, the debate around Gyökeres intensified among pundits, supporters, and former players. While some questioned whether Arsenal's record signing is truly suited to the Premier League's pace and physicality, others pointed to the structural issues around him rather than the striker himself. Much of the post-match analysis focused on Arsenal's chance creation and balance in the final third. The Wolves game highlighted a recurring theme this season. Gyökeres often makes the right movements, but the service into dangerous areas has been inconsistent. When Trossard entered the match, that problem briefly disappeared. Arsenal suddenly looked more fluid, more unpredictable, and far better equipped to supply a traditional number 9. Former players speaking on television and radio were quick to note the contrast. With Trossard drifting inside and linking play, Arsenal's attacking shape became more compact, allowing Gyökeres to stay higher up the pitch and occupy central defenders. That, in turn, created space for midfield runners like Rice and Ødegaard to arrive late in the box. It was a glimpse of an attacking formula that Arsenal have rarely sustained this season. The reaction from supporters has been equally divided. While frustration with Gyökeres' goal return remains, there is growing appreciation for his work rate, physical presence, and willingness to press from the front. Many fans now see Trossard as the missing connector, the player who can translate Gyökeres' movement into genuine scoring opportunities. Internally, Arteta faces an important decision. Persisting with a front line that isolates Gyökeres risks damaging the striker's confidence, especially with tougher fixtures on the horizon. At the same time, promoting Trossard to a regular starting role could mean reshuffling wide positions and reducing Martinelli's minutes, a bold call that would not come without consequences. Yet football at the highest level often comes down to chemistry rather than reputation. The Wolves match suggested that Arsenal's most expensive signing may not need drastic changes to his own game, but rather the right supporting cast around him. If Arteta embraces that idea, Gyökeres' slow start could soon be remembered as nothing more than a difficult adjustment period. For now, the pressure remains. Goals will ultimately define Gyökeres' Arsenal career, and patience in North London is never unlimited. But with Trossard offering clarity, creativity, and calm in possession, Arsenal may finally have found the key to unlocking their striker and turning promise into consistent production.